That's how the ledger. And now, how many times do you have people on this show that say, I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept? I mean, Joe, really? It's just an accounting ledger, a clever... It's a ledger that everyone has, Hey,
everyone, quick Friday video to talk about the news that we covered earlier this week. The breakdown brought you a story about the run-up in the price of Ether, the Ether cryptocurrency, based on a tweet from Eric Balchunas. And well, lo and behold, the SEC did an about-face and approved the first Ether-backed ETF. Let's read a bit from this Wall Street Journal article by Vicky DeHuang and Caitlin Osteroff. The Securities and Exchange Commission approved the first U.S. exchange-traded funds holding Ether, the largest cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin, in an about-face that surprised the crypto community. The new funds, known as spot Ether ETFs because they buy and sell the digital currency itself, will allow mainstream investors to buy and sell Ether as easily as stocks or mutual funds. Ether is the in-house token on the Ethereum blockchain, an open source platform for developers to build and operate crypto applications much like iOS and Android. I got to pause there. Much like iOS and Android. I hate to criticize the authors here. They brought us an article here, but much like iOS and Android, the Ethereum world ecosystem, blockchain, whatever you want to call it, is nothing like iOS and Android. The technical details are too numerous to really go into, but you know, and then just the number of applications and how useful these things are. It's just they're apples and oranges. I digress. Continuing on, at least 10 asset managers, including BlackRock and Fidelity Investments, applied to launch the first batch of Ether ETFs. So I know one name jumps out here. BlackRock, one of the biggest in the world, or maybe the biggest, I'd have to look, investment management companies. Behind it, BlackRock has a lot of pull. I got to think that behind the scenes, they had a lot to do with this. I'll continue on. The ruling marks at least a partial retreat from SEC Chair Gary Gensler's efforts to keep crypto from becoming more ingrained in traditional finance and potentially opens the door for other funds backed by smaller, riskier tokens. All right. So first off, got to call out mega kudos to Eric Balchunas here. He was exactly right. He called this several days ago. And turns out he saw it coming. He raised his probability from 25% to 75%. So he didn't quite promise it, but it turns out him and I guess James Seifert both called it. So I'll give both of those guys kudos. What else? So let's talk about how this abrupt change in position came about, change in position from the SEC specifically. So to my eye, it looks like Gary Gensler and the SEC got rolled by the politicians and probably the White House specifically. Let's take a journey back in time to just this last February. Here's some comments from SEC Commissioner Gary Gensler on CNBC.
It's a field, Becky, that's been rife with fraud and manipulation. And look at all the bankruptcies. And you've had on this set people talking about those various bankruptcies. And it's not just one entity. It's entity after entity after entity. And then investors are just lining up in the bankruptcy court. It's the leading market share in ransomware. And that's publicly known. Right. It's the token of choice for ransomware. That's how the ledger. And now, how many times do you have people on this show that say, I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept? I mean, Joe, really? It's just an accounting ledger, a clever... It's a ledger that everyone has.
Quote, it's rife with fraud and manipulation. Trivializing the rationale for investment is because of how the accounting takes place. Oversimplifying to a great magnitude. It's pretty obvious that he was against crypto. He could have been a little bit more forceful, but he was pretty obviously not a fan of crypto and just doesn't get it. Here's another more recent clip from CNBC with a talking head outlining the political pressure brought to bear on this decision.
Let's take it back. 2 weeks ago, the House passed this bill that would overturn SEC Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, and it had 21 Democrats that voted in the House. And then that went to the Senate last week, and the Senate passed it 60-38 or so, with 12 Democrat caucusing members, so 11 Democrats and 1 independent, also voting to overturn, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Legislation. You also had former President Donald Trump explicitly saying if you like crypto, you should vote Trump. Now his campaign is accepting cryptocurrency donations and, again, explicitly calling out Senator Elizabeth Warren and saying that she may have been raising a, quote, anti-crypto army. Well, we're raising a crypto army. You've got several large crypto PACs that are pouring money into a lot of these elections.
So we have BlackRock, political action committees, campaign contributions in an election year, Senate and House both passing legislation to overturn SEC crypto regulation, Donald Trump saying he's all in on crypto, and all this is an election year. It seems to me that the politicians rolled the SEC in making this flip-flop happen. And, what's the net of this? All this boils down to the fact that I think crypto is now too big to fail. Crypto now has the backing of legacy Wall Street. And like it or not, Wall Street gets its way in Washington for the most part. So I think this is a huge win for the crypto bros out there. Good luck. Let's hope this all goes well. And then lastly, let's talk about these ETFs for a bit. I'm reminded that if you don't control the wallet, you don't own the crypto. Do you trust these large institutions to secure their Bitcoin or Ether for you? If they get hacked, you're out of luck. This is a different world. There are many more controls with stock trading that simply don't exist with crypto. Do you trust these large institutions to secure their assets more than yourself? It's a question everybody has to ask themselves. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.